If you've ever seen a guy in a bar walk up to a girl he didn't know and make out with her almost immediately, it can be a completely mind-blowing experience just to watch in the first place. I know it seems like it could be very magical. It could seem very out of reach, something that someone is born with, an ability or some kind of sort of superpower. But it's really not. And it actually can be broken down into some pretty simple steps that you can follow in order to make the same thing happen for you. And in this article, I'm going to break down some of those steps. Now, the first of all of these steps, and I really want to press on this topic and talk about it a lot and really make sure you understand, is that about 90% of the difference between someone who's really good with women and someone who is not so good with women or mediocre with women is in the ability to spot a woman that is ready to make out. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's true. If you walk into a bar and you walk up to any woman, period, and you start trying to talk to them, it's going to be a lot more difficult. You can't make out with just anybody. You have to be able to spot a woman who is sort of in that state already and know that she's in that state so that you can walk up and sort of be that guy. And usually what happens is these kind of girls don't get that guy. That guy never walks up because so many guys are afraid to do this, and they end up, going home alone or not really caring or being kind of mean to a lot of the guys in the bar, sort of being resentful and angry because no one's approaching them. So what you want to do is you want to sort of cultivate this ability to see the women who you're able to make out with in 40 seconds or less after talking to them in the first place. Now, there are a few very, very good indications of a woman, especially in a bar atmosphere, that you can look around and notice, and you can know immediately that these women are sort of game or down or ready to go for you. And I'm going to go over some of those qualities now. The first quality is the quality of a woman looking down often. When a woman looks down often, she is accessing her emotions. When we look in different directions, we access different parts of our brain. So if you look down, you're accessing your emotional brain. And when a woman's in a bar and she's accessing her emotional brain, what she's really showing is submission. So this is pretty typical. If she makes eye contact with you or anyone else and then she looks down and then back up again, basically what she's saying is, I have an emotional response to you looking at me, and I'm looking down, and if she tilts her head down as well, she's actually physically dropping herself a little bit lower and sort of giving you the ability to walk up and be the dominant guy. Now, if she were to look at you, smile, and not look away, this can be a much more difficult situation for you. It's going to be a much longer process for you because she's sort of meeting you head on. She's not showing submission immediately. Women who you're going to be able to walk up to and make out with in 40 seconds or less are going to need to automatically take this sort of submissive role as a woman, and that's why you'll be able to make out with her. So that's one quality. Another quality is that she's actively looking around to make eye contact. This is crucial. A woman who is engaged with someone specifically and she's not looking away is not going to be as easy to seduce in 40 seconds or less. It's going to take much longer. Again, you're going to have to play a totally different kind of game when you walk up. You can't just walk up and make out with her. So instead, if you see a woman who is in a conversation but she's constantly looking around and trying to make eye contact with a lot of people, this is probably a very, very likely, I don't want to say target, but person that you can walk up to and immediately become sexual with. Another is sort of the way they're moving and the way they're dressed. And I'll explain this a little bit. The way that they're moving, if they're moving in a way that is, let's say that they have their legs spread out a little bit when they're standing, so they're standing with their feet about shoulder width apart, it's going to be less likely that a woman who's standing with their legs shoulder width apart is going to be sort of available for you to walk up and sort of dominate in that same kind of way. The reason why is because she's, again, standing in a dominant position. She has a dominant body language and powerful body language, and she's probably going to hit you with a lot of resistance if you do that. So instead, you want to find a woman who is taking up less space. She sort of has her legs closer together. She seems to be somebody who is sort of outside of a group a little bit, sort of looking around. And another thing is the way that she's dressed. If she's dressed in a way that's super, super flashy, and she wants a lot of people to look over at her, she's probably going to not be the kind of girl, I know it sounds kind of funny, but not be the kind of girl that you're going to be able to walk up to and make out with in 40 seconds. And the reason why is because those kinds of women are looking for attention. They're not looking for dominance. They're not looking for someone to dominate them. So what you want is you want someone who's in between, I don't give a shit, and with the way they're dressed, like I just don't care, like they're wearing, sweatpants or whatever with elastic waistband to the bar. Somewhere between that and done up really, really beautiful and sexy with a really low-cut shirt. So you want to find someone who's sort of in between those phases, in between those two groups. A lot of women who are on vacation sort of fall in this realm. They don't really want to overdress or underdress, and they don't know the way to go into a bar, so they come in kind of open-minded and they start looking around trying to make connections. And this is a really, really good situation for you. So that's how you spot her in the first place. If you see some of those, you want to watch her for a second. If you see and you think that she is the kind of person you can walk up to and do this, then proceed. So next, right after you get that done, you've seen your girl. There's probably 3 or 4 of these girls in a bar at any given moment. You see one of them, she's attractive, you're going to walk up, you're going to do this. So what do? Well, this is where the most powerful kind of frame control comes in. It's very, very important that you understand how to control someone else's frame. And by frame, I basically mean their reality. You're controlling what they experience. And you have to be able to stay in control of that experience in order to really bring her to the level of making out with you immediately. Now, I'm going to give you a very quick, sort of punchy, fast way of doing this, and I'll explain it as quick as possible here. That way you can go straight out and try it. So here's what I would say. Word for word, walk up to a girl, and right when you get up to her and then right when she makes eye contact with you, I want you to put your finger up by your lips and tell her to say this, shh. So just say shh like this for a second, and then you're going to slow your vocal tonality down, slow your speech pattern down, and then deepen your vocal tonality. And immediately you're going to start saying, wait just one moment. So you're going to say, wait just one moment, or stop for 1 minute. And you're going to be using a lot of NLP here. Whenever someone hears stop, wait, or don't, they immediately register whatever comes after that. So if I say, don't think of a black cat, what do? Well, immediately you think of a black cat in whatever picture you have in your head. So if I said, don't try to make out with me, or don't make out with me right now, girls are going to be hearing, don't make out with me, but their subconscious minds will be hearing, make out with me, basically. So they'll be hearing, I should make out with this guy. Now, during frame control, you're going to be using a lot of sort of these subconscious triggers in order to get this to go as fast as possible. Please only use this for good. There's lots of evil ways to use this. Don't try to seduce women who don't want to be seduced. But that's one of the reasons why it's important that you notice a woman who really does want to be seduced by a man. So you walk up, you put your finger over your lips, and you tell her to shh for a second. And you say, don't, or wait, or stop. So my typical is don't worry right now. That's all I say. And I slow that speech down. Don't worry right now. And then I go right into the next statement. And that is, you and I are going to have a secret. We're going to secretly kiss and no one will know. And as I'm saying this, I'm going to be leaning in, and so will you. You're leaning in ever so slowly. At the same time, you're looking from her eyes down to her lips and back up her eyes again. Sort of count to 3, looking at her eyes, and look down to her lips and count to 2. Look back up, count to 3, look down, count to 2. And just do that about 3 or 4 times as you're talking. This can be a lot to remember, so you may want to practice it a little bit. I wouldn't expect that you're going to get it perfect the first time. So then, when you walk in, again, you're saying, we're going to have a secret kiss. We're going to kiss and no one's going to know. And then you say, and then from here on out, you're really just filling up space with words as you're leaning in, and you're still controlling the interaction. So you're going to very, very slowly with your right hand or your left hand, whichever one is more accessible, slide your hand up toward her back. So you're going to reach around by her back. You're not going to pull hard anything. You're just going to very lightly touch her. And you're going to be gauging, is she looking at your lips? If she's looking at your lips, you have a green light to go forward. If she's looking at your eyes, you may want to wait a second or turn around and turn back again and try it again. This sort of resets your meter in her mind, so to speak. When you turn around and turn back again, it's like it's a new conversation for people. For some reason, that's how we are as humans. It's what we do. Someone turns away and they turn back, we sort of give them another chance moving forward. So if you feel like you're getting some resistance, turn around, turn back, and smile, and then continue. And if she gives you resistance again, then back off and I would find somebody else. So what you're going to be doing if she's not, though, if she's very, very comfortable, she's excited, she's looking at your lips, you're going to move in very, very closely, and you're going to speak almost directly into her ear. Now, keep in mind, in a loud environment, you're going to want to raise your voice, but don't raise your voice. Make your voice very low so that you have to be very, very close to her ear for her to hear. And then you're going to keep talking. What I usually say is, no one's going to see this. It's just going to be our little secret. I promise I won't tell anybody, only if you promise that you won't tell anybody either. And then right as I'm saying this into her ear, she's feeling my breath on her neck. So I'm sort of breathing out a little bit more than normal as I'm speaking, so she can feel that sort of air, that hot air on her neck. And this is a really visceral, deep sexual response from women. They have a really powerfully sexual response when you do this. So very slowly, as you're speaking sort of really close to her ear, you're going to press your cheek against hers as you're talking. And then you're going to slide your cheek as you're talking and move over so that your mouth is closer to hers. And then you're just going to start kissing her. And if you do this right, you start out with just pecking, just once, softly. And then you go straight into making out. And I'm telling you, 40 seconds is a long time. This can happen in a lot less time than that. I've done it in less time. I've seen guys who do it in less time as well. And what I want you to do is sort of work out at getting it, maybe go for a minute first or 2 minutes first, and then start to cut it back to where you're doing it in about 40 seconds or 30 seconds. And you're not going to use this all the time, but when the opportunity is right, it's really good to have this sort of in your arsenal as a tool, as a weapon for yourself. You want to make sure that you have the right kind of tools for the right job. And whenever you see a girl who's in that state and she's ready to be seduced, if you beat around the bush, if you try to play your magic game, or you try to sit around and have small talk or talk about how there's a fight outside or get her opinion on something, it's going to turn her off. It's what's called talking yourself out of a sale. So instead of sort of closing or talking to her and getting her number or making out with her or anything, having sex with her or anything, what you'll be doing is you'll be talking your way out of all that stuff. So you don't want that to happen. Instead, when you spot this, you want to be able to see her, know that that's what she wants, and go and give it to her immediately. This is the major difference between guys who are just amazing at walking up and seducing a woman, and guys who wish that they were amazing at walking up and seducing a woman. Keep all this in mind. There's a lot of other things as well. There are techniques on how to speak properly with the right tonality, how to touch in a way that allows her to feel comfortable and doesn't turn off any of her weird alert switches. Specific things to say and NLP triggers as well that you can use to connect and make sure that she's totally in your zone. There are a lot more indicators that a woman is sexually responsive and sexually turned on in that moment. And a lot of other things you can use, a lot of other tools you can use for situations where maybe she's a little bit more resistant and you can still get the same result. But for now, this is one of my favorite things, and sort of what has taken me from a normal dude to being a really well-respected dating coach, is knowing a lot of sort of tricks like this and knowing when to bring them out. So check it out, try it out, and tell me what you think. Comment below if you have any questions. I'm very, very excited to see what you think about it. Thanks.